everyone, and welcome to this conversation presented by White House Custom Color. I'm Jed Toffer. Thanks for listening. You know, my wife Vicki and I have owned and operated our photography studio, V Gallery, for 20 years now. White House has been our lab for the last 16 of those years, and we could not be happier. White House is a family-run business, just like ours. If you haven't already, check them out at whcc.com. And if you want to drop me a line, feel free to email me at jed@whcc.com. Making decisions, especially big life decisions, that go against the status quo are extremely difficult. I think we worry about what other people will think and say so much that sometimes we don't even consider taking the leap or changing gears, so to speak, for fear that we'll look foolish or flaky. Lara Blair knows this. She's lived it. But despite the not-so-subtle jabs from others close to her, she follows her heart. She pays attention to her instincts. She listens to that still small voice. And when it's telling her to take that leap, she jumps. My wife really wanted me to talk to you after whatever you guys were talking about yesterday, and I wanted to stay kind of at a distance, right? Because for me, if I'm going to have the conversation with somebody, I don't want to know too much about it beforehand, because I like to discover it organically.
I gotcha.
Really. So let's start with who you are. You just tell me who you are, where you're from.
Okay.
As if we've never spoken before at all. And a little bit about what you do, a little bit of background.
All right.
And we'll go from there.
So my name is Lara Blair, and I operated under the business Lara Blair Images for about 13 years, from 2000 to 2013. I think I started at kind of about the same time you guys did, somewhere in there. Mm-hmm. And you guys were very important to my growth during my studio thing. Went to imaging and took Vicky's class, kind of up close and personal, and moved to New York. I was the only photographer in a town of 9,000 people. And I went for it, and I implemented a lot of the stuff that I learned from you guys.
What was that town? Where did you?
It was called Warwick. It's in the Hudson Valley. Beautiful apple country. I love the East Coast. We weren't made to live there. I'm from the Northwest, born and raised in Seattle.
Oh my.
And we live right outside of Portland, Oregon, on the Washington side in town. Vancouver and Camas is where my main business is. And we shoot in Portland. I shoot in Portland as well. But I'm a Northwest girl, and New York was fantastic, but we needed to come home. Mm-hmm. So I rebranded again, rebranded 3 times. And when I moved home, I had taken your pet thing. You guys had your fundraiser that you offered, and I took, I bought the package and figured it all out, and I did my Humane Society thing as a project, because I'm into personal projects. That's kind of my thing. And I realized, I really like dogs. I almost like dogs more than people. Well, because, people are hard, and I love dog owners, and I'm just a big dog person. So I thought, this is something to this. This is pretty cool. And then I realized Portland, Oregon is one of the biggest dog communities in the United States. I'm like, well, okay, I'm going to figure this out. So I went for it, and it went very well. And I just shot dogs probably for the last 5 years of those 13 years. And I shot everything, pretty much like everybody else in the early aughts. I didn't do weddings, but I did, babies and couples and kids. I love kids. So after that, I ended up really going for it with this dog thing. And it was kind of my niche, and I really enjoyed the people. I had a lot of double income, no kids. So it's like they were buying pictures of their quote unquote kids.
Of course. Right. And then my wife would say that the people, some people, not everybody, but some people that had dogs and kids. Yes. She would say they like their kids, but they love their dogs. Like some of those people, because they'd come in and they'd just want photos of their dogs. And we have photos of children and families all over the studio. Yes. And it's like, no, I'm good with the dogs.
I'm good with the dogs. Yeah, that's kind of what we had going too.
Not with everybody, of course, but there's that group of people.
Oh, yeah.
Like, okay, all right. Well,
I have 5 pictures of the dogs
and
a couple of the kids. I really enjoyed it, and it was fun. And I ended up writing an article for Professional Photographer Magazine, little plug for PPA, got to join it, it's important. And I wrote an article, and they published it. And that's just kind of goes to show you just never know. Throw that pasta on the wall and see what's going to stick.
Put it out there.
And that's kind of how I operate in life. I just go for it and see what happens. And what's the worst thing that can happen? They don't publish it.
Right. That's the worst.
So they published it. It was very exciting.
That's neat.
Huge deal. I love to write. I was a blogger back in the blogging days.
You did the blogger thing.
I did.
Right.
And met a lot of people through that. And after the article came out, I got a call from Amherst Media. They read all the photog books. And in fact, I own quite a few of them from the early days. And they asked me to write a book, which was insane and very humbling and exciting.
That's great.
And I wrote the book. You can still get it. It's on Amazon. And it's been around, obviously, for a while. It's very much a marketing book, how to get started with the dog thing.
What's it called?
Photographing dogs. It's like the art of photographing dogs. So if you just search Lara Blair on Amazon,
you'll find it.
Yeah. So that was a very big deal. I've always wanted to write a book. So check that off the list.
Yeah, that's great.
And I put the whole thing together with pictures and everything. Amherst kind of let me have the reins on it, which was great. So in typical Lara Blair fashion, I literally wrote the book on this subject and I quit. Yeah.
You go through all that.
Oh.
You write a book after being asked to write a book, mind you.
Yes.
And then you're like, I'm done.
I know. And so this is where I think a lot of people struggle with this, women in particular. I had 2 young kids and they were very much involved with school. They were, I think it was like 4th grade, 5th grade. They were a year apart in school, 2 girls, my precious girls. And I was very distracted. I can be pretty intense with my work. Whatever I love, I go all in. I'm all in pretty much on whatever I do. And I was distracted and I was busy and I was going to Portland a lot because that's where a lot of my dog owners were. And I just felt tremendous mom guilt. It was just terrible. And I struggled with it every day. And I thought, what am I doing? What am I doing? And then I kind of burned out a little bit. The recession wasn't real helpful.
Right.
And I was spending a lot of time alone, retouching in the studio and, marketing in the studio. So a lot of times when you're a one-woman show, and I had an assistant, but she was only there for shoots. When you're in the studio alone and it's raining and it's, dark and rainy where I live, I was thinking, what am I doing? I'm a people person. I really love, to be around professionals. Maybe I'll just change gears. So I was a teacher originally when I first got married. And I know Vicki was too, right? Special ed. I love middle school. It's my favorite. And I thought, what if I went back to teaching? Because then I would be around professionals again. I would get to be around kids, which I miss. And then I would be on the same schedule as my daughters and have that family life again.
Yeah.
And I did it. And I do things quickly. And I shut it down. It was insane. I mean, I shut my website down. People were, emailing me questions from the book and I would email them quick answers back. I'm sure they're like, why can't I find our website anymore? Which was weird. And
because you're like, I don't do this anymore.
Right. And I threw myself into teaching. I'm a good teacher. I'm one of those crazy teachers that I have a theater and music background. So I'm wearing hats and then I sing.
Oh, wow.
I went to school for music. So I played my uke, in there and I got my memorization songs from my middle schoolers. And I'm that crazy teacher that I get really, really tight with my students. And it was a wonderful time. I had an amazing team. I taught in a project-based school, so we taught everything through projects, and I was a humanities teacher, so I got to do all those super cool. Like we colonized Mars in this project-based school, and I got to do all the writing and all. It was just awesome.
Well, it sounds like that's right up your alley.
It was, but what I didn't realize was that my mojo was going to come back, and it came back like overnight, within a couple weeks. I don't remember what I saw, but I was looking in magazines. I'm very visual. I was looking at images and photography again and letting myself be creative. I was painting. I like to do art painting. So that's where I was kind of getting my creative, outlet for what I need to do creatively. And it just morphed. I miss it. I think I miss it. So I took my camera out and I started making composites. I know you like Brooke. I love her stuff, and I saw her creative live.
Brooke's
my
buddy.
Is cool. So I watched her thing, and I got really inspired by composites, which I love to do. They're fun, and I started doing self-portraits, and doing some composite stuff and selling them. I do encaustic wax. I would do the wax over the top, and then slowly.
You do everything.
I do a lot of creative stuff. No left brain, no left brain.
It's like art and music. I do all of it.
No left
I do
brain
it all.
at all. Like I walk around with my right side of my head.
Yeah, right. You're like weighted down.
Yeah, just going to lean it down to the ground. I'm learning the business part, and that's coming next. So I realized I missed it, and my kids are going to college.
Okay, so the time span, we went through a lot of time there.
Yeah.
So in 2013 is when you had the mom guilt.
Yeah.
And stopped.
Actually 2012, and then I kind of wound it down. Yeah.
And then just recently you've gotten back in the game? So
I've been back in teaching for 6.5 years, somewhere in there.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's been wonderful. No complaints. But I realized I wanted a second shot at it. My kids are going to be gone.
Yes.
I would have time to do what I want to do. I have big dreams and big plans for what I want to do. And it was very clear to me as I prayed about it and thought about it and wrote about it, I wanted a second chance at this thing. And started following, of course, Sue Bryce was a great inspiration. A lot of other photographers, your wife, still, doing her thing, followed her all those years and her evolving style. Other photographers in the industry who stayed with it that I really admire and respect. And I've always kind of had this thing that the business part was not necessarily really, really wonderful for me. It was fine, but I knew I could do it. I mean, if I could teach myself how to do these other things, I can figure out the business part. So I started reading business books. Sue Bryce got a lot of great stuff about, owning the money part, figuring it out, getting your taxes straight away. And I started really getting empowered by I could do this, and I could probably make more money than I'm doing teaching.
Yeah.
So I told my team, and they were so cute. They were like, we knew you were going to go back.
Really?
Yeah.
They could tell?
Yeah. I was pretty tight with them, and they saw my creative stuff, and they're like, oh man, she said no. So I let it go, and it was really hard. I got some letters from some students, why are you leaving? And just gut-wrenching kind of stuff. But I also taught my students a lot. You got to pay attention to your instincts and pay attention to the little whispers inside. And when they tell you to do something, that there's a reason why. And I've always done that, and I've never regretted it. I mean, every single time I've had that little voice say, you need to switch gears, I did it. And it's never been a bad thing. I've always learned from it. My family has always kind of rolled with it. They know who I am.
They know too.
They do. Yeah. And my kids. So I got a little validation. It was probably last Mother's Day. My kids are going to be a sophomore in college, and then my other kid's doing a gap year around the world, and then she's going to college. She leaves in 3 days.
Oh, wow.
I know. And they wrote me letters for Mother's Day, and it was, and my whole thing was you can't really be a creative and a really good mom at the same time. That was kind of the myth I think a lot of women tell themselves. And I really struggled with that. I grew up with an actress mother. She's an amazing talent, probably the most talented person I've ever known, and very distracted by her art. But, I came out okay. I'd like to think I turned out all right.
Yeah.
And so my thing with my girls was, oh my gosh, did they just remember me as being distracted and overworked and not paying attention? And the letters that I got from both of them were, when you were distracted sometimes. But the things that you have shown us in jumping at your dreams and the plans that you have, let us know. It gives us permission to do the same. And I hope that they pick jobs and do things that fulfill them creatively and whatever they want to do in their lives. And I guess watching me do my thing, as my friend calls me, the Blair Switch Project, which I think is quite funny. My friend Maria calls me that. It was funny at first. And now I'm like, wait a minute.
I think it's still kind of funny.
But the other thing is that I used to have shame about that. Switching it up. Like, am I flaky? What's my problem? I want to teach. I want to art, And then I realized that it comes down to one thing. I'm on this planet to do two things. It's to inspire people and to be creative. And whatever mode I use to do that is really okay. If it's in my classroom, if it's in my portrait studio, if it's writing my book, whatever it is, if it's fulfilling those two God-given missions for me, then it's okay. And I'm 48 now, and I'm finally realizing it's all right to be the Blair Switch Project. It really is. So I'm back in this for probably a year, and I've completely rebranded again. And I love tweens, and it doesn't surprise me because I've been working with them for 7 years now. I adore them. It's an amazing age, like 11 to 14. That's not really a tween, 14, but some of them are kind of young. And they're just a hot mess, and I just love them. The girl drama and the lack of confidence, and not that those are good things, but they just are who they are. They don't apologize for who they are. And I really, really am attracted to that because we lose it. Like you go to 9th grade, you start to conform and you worry about boys and you worry about your appearance. And there's more comparison on social media. When you're 11, like you're kind of the boss of you.
Yeah.
And you figure out what you want to do and what you like, and you're not afraid to tell people what you don't like.
Yeah.
That's what I love. My 6th graders. I don't like drawing. I don't want to do this.
Yeah.
Come on, we got to give it a go. You know. But I really respected the fact when kids would say, "I just don't really enjoy this." So, I have created this whole new mission that I am going to empower girls, and it's going to be through portraits, the portrait experience. I do a home consult. We go through their closets. They bring out all their stuff. Like everything that makes them them. I had a session. We had a chicken. We had a live chicken, a bunny. It was 2 girls, best friends. A chicken, a bunny, a hula hoop, roller skates, a skateboard. What else did they bring? An accordion, a guitar. All of this stuff came in the back of the car with their parents.
This is all their stuff that
it
they're
was
bringing.
so fun. It was a 3-hour session.
Wow.
We mapped it all out, and I have a particular style. It's kind of like almost like a high fashion kind of. If you can have a tween be high fashion. I love high key. I like black too, and I've kind of gotten to this point where my lighting's pretty predictable. Shout out to Felix. I've learned a lot through Felix Coons, and the rest of it is up to the personality of the girl. And when I find out what she's all about, we find out what she loves. We talk. I mean, by the time I'm done, it's been 2 hours at the consult. 2 to 3 hours at a session. And the moms are always amazed, like, that's my kid. I'm like, that's your kid. So what I decided was that I think I'm really going to go for it. I do teens as well. We'll do like high school seniors and stuff, which I love. But there's just something about that age. It's like the tween dream. You know, I speak tween and I just love it.
Do you have the business piece set up?
Yes. And that was a really big win for me because I had to really learn it and be a big girl, you know, and figure this out. It was very on the empowering end. You know, I'm working with girls to do that.
Right.
I very much figured it out for myself at the ripe age of 48. And I think I showed my girls that too. Yeah. You know, if you're going to do this, you need to make a living. And I have 2 kids in school. So I know that I'm not just going to do this. It's not a hobby. I do it as a business. Right. I do a full, like all products. I don't do any digital files. Well, they get the file with a bigger order, but
after they've already.
Yeah. And I'm also doing a class, the whole tween experience is called Brave and True, because I really feel like those are 2 adjectives that describe girls in that age. They're pretty brave to be in middle school, and they're really true to who they are. And I just love it so much. It just means so much to me because we can learn a lot from that. And I have a class, and it's a 5-week class, and they come, and I'm a natural born teacher. So I teach photography and art, but it's not really about photography and art. Yeah. It's about body positivity and how to communicate with other girls and just trying to find their way, you know, through all the mess and the comparison and social media. Thank goodness I didn't have that when I was a kid. I don't know what I would have done. I always tell them, like, you guys have it so much harder than I did. So this class is meant to, 1, fulfill my teaching need because I love that part and I miss it. And 2, to really give these girls some skills. It's a small class, like 7 kids. And it fills pretty quickly. And then I take a break, and then I do another 5 weeks, and I take a break and do another 5 weeks. And I photograph all the girls. They each get a session, and they come in, and it's proven to be, I mean, I didn't mean it to be a marketing thing, but it's been great that way. But more than anything, I feel like I'm doing something with these girls that needs to be done just 1 class at a time. So it's very rewarding. It makes me feel like I'm doing those 2 jobs, the inspiring part and the creative part, with a purpose, you know, and a plan, and using my right and left brain, heaven forbid.
Both of them.
Yeah. And so my big dreams, I would like to teach other photographers to do this because I think it's scary to work with tweens. It's really scary to teach them, but I'm trying to create a program I think that would work across the country because we need this more than anything. I've lived it in my classroom. These girls need skills. And if you can help them see themselves in a new light and help them just have basic tools to operate during their day, we're all going to be better off, all of us, because those kids become high schoolers who can deal better, and then they become adults, and dare I say, hopefully don't get pregnant or drugs or whatever. Right. Like if you can empower a girl and help her feel like her needs are important and her gifts are recognized and she values who she is, she's going to make better decisions, and it's going to be better for all of us.
How much of your passion for kids that age, in particular girls that age, come from the fact that you have two yourself.
A lot. And that my my personal sixth grade year was just terrible.
That was a bad year for you.
Oh gosh. I loved this. The best teacher I ever had. Mr. Stangvik. Best guy ever. But it was when my parents got divorced. And I just, it's just hard being 12. So my own girls, yeah. And they're very lucky in that I picked right. I have a really, really great husband, and they have a really wonderful father, and we have a good marriage. But just that whole, and watching them a year apart in school because they're so close.
They're 1 year apart.
Yeah. Well, they're 17 months apart, but 1 year apart
1 year
in
in
school. And they're really different, and they don't get along. So it's been a little bit of a difficult road.
Right.
Yeah, I think a lot of it has to do with, and possibly, was I distracted during that time?
Well, there's a lot of pieces here that I'm trying to put together in my mind. So your tough year was when you were in sixth grade.
Yeah.
And I feel like you said that the mom guilt was really swelling when they were in fourth and fifth grade.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, makes sense,
and
doesn't
so
it?
I'm just trying to piece it together. I'm thinking, well, obviously she feels so strongly about girls that age because of her own girls, right?
Yeah.
And then, of course, take into account what happened to you when you were in sixth grade. And now look at the mom guilt that really starts to swell when they're in fourth and fifth, because I feel like even if it was subconscious, you see them getting to that age and you start to look at yourself.
Yes.
And then probably subconsciously realize what happened to you when you were just past that age as they're approaching it, right?
Yes.
And so it all kind of fits.
I'm going to lie down on this couch right here, and you're going to charge me like $150 an hour.
Well, I'm just putting it together right. You said it all.
No,
you
it's
put it
really
all
true.
out there.
No, you're really right. Yeah, it's very connected. And I think that's why I picked middle school to teach, and I think that's why I picked the age to photograph.
Right. It's like you dove into them.
Yes.
At a time when you had such a tough time yourself because of everything that was happening.
That's absolutely true. You're right. I was right on the edge of it. Funny enough, I haven't really connected all the dots, but as I'm sitting here, I will write you a check later for your psychological services.
When you put it all out there it is, right? I'm struck by how brave you are in that you made that decision. That would be a hard thing to do.
It was really, really hard. Thank you for saying that. People looked at me like I was insane. Like, you just wrote this book.
Right.
You're jamming right now.
Right.
What are you thinking? You need to be going big. And you know what? I played small. Yeah. I played small. And a lot of women do. And there's nothing wrong with it if you feel like you need to, I obviously switched gears.
Right.
And some women play really big and they go big with success early on.
Sure.
And, I'm ready to play big.
Now you're ready.
I am.
Right.
I've gotten to the point where I've learned some things and I'm coming into my own, and I want to be able to shoot what I want to shoot, and I want to be able to inspire and work with kids. And there's nothing stopping me at this point, which is a pretty exciting thing, because I've never felt that in the years since I started this, because my daughter was born in 2000. So it's been their whole lives. They've had this distracted, creative mother.
I was struck by, because after you spoke to my wife yesterday in the trade show, and she said, you need to talk to Laura. Mm-hmm. She's got some great stuff.
Oh, that's nice.
And I said, give me a little bit about it, because I don't want to know. Mm-hmm. And she said she's going to talk about mom guilt. Mm-hmm. And I think that it's a big deal for us right now, because she has some of that.
Yeah, I know. I've heard you talk about it a little bit.
And our kids are 10 and 6, right? And what she knows what it's like to be like all about work and to put in the 80, 90 hours a week every week before we had kids, right?
Yeah.
And then that all changed. But now I think she's in a position again where she sees that if she wanted to, she could really blow things up again. Like, it's all right there.
Your wife has the capability of any stage of blowing things up in a very positive way. No, she's a creative force. She's like the Tasmanian devil of creativity.
She does come across that way sometimes.
No, she's got 5,000 ideas and a way to implement them.
Yeah,
does she feel like she has to rein herself in?
Yes and no. I mean, there's there's other factors at play. Like, I think age in general. Like, we're sore a lot more.
I'm tired.
Certainly me, but even she is. And there are times where I feel like I have to say, listen to what your body's telling you.
Right.
Listen to what your heart's telling you maybe. And that's what I wanted to get at with you specifically, because I feel like you did.
I did.
And we call it, so we can call it mom guilt or whatever, right?
Yeah.
Maybe that is the best term for it, because that's what it certainly probably feels like as a mom.
Right.
And why did you listen to it?
Gosh, maybe it has something to do with what you said before, that it was such an intense feeling during that time in my life. And bless my parents. They did the best they could. We don't wake up saying how we're going to screw up our kids today,
right.
And my parents were amazing and in their own ways, but they were both, I'm an only child. I have a stepsister, but I was an only child, and they were very intense, creative, people who had lives of their own, and they were distracted for sure. And I didn't feel like, I didn't love me or anything like that, but I definitely felt like there were times I was kind of on my own.
Sure.
We grew up in the city. I took the metro bus everywhere. Like, parents, weren't super involved in my high school stuff, because that's kind of when a lot of stuff was going on in my family and divorce and everything. They're good now, but I look back to that, and it was such a deep, I think it's a wound. We all have our stuff. Everybody's got their wounds, and I think mine were deep enough that when I, maybe like you said, it was getting on the edge of watching my kids go into the hard years, be it everything else was pretty solid at home, hard years, that I wanted to be available. And it was a very dangerous place to not be available during that time. I remember I had a memory of my daughter. She was in 6th grade, and she had just gotten on like Instagram or something. And we were just letting her kind of, like, we were monitoring it. And she came out of her room and she was crying. And I went, oh no, what happened? I ran upstairs. What's going on? And she held out her phone, and it was a picture of a party where everyone she knew was invited, and she was intentionally not invited. I just talk about a knife in the heart. And I stood there and I started crying.
Of course.
And I try not to I didn't want her to see me crying, because I was like, it's not that big a deal. It's okay.
Right.
It's
you try
a huge
to play it off,
deal.
but it's like a world ender for them.
It's a huge deal.
Yeah.
And I thought, what? I was there.
Yeah.
I was there, and I wasn't with a client, and I wasn't at the studio, and I was there with her. And we've had all the things, the boyfriends that break their hearts, and so many things that you go through. I'm just really sorry, because you're just on the edge of those years. I know
it's coming. Like, everything painful. You're saying, I know is coming.
It's very painful. And the boys are different. God, boys got to be easier. They got to be easier, man.
Well, I hope so.
Girls are really hard. But I think that it was just so palpable for me that I was just really worried what would happen if I didn't let it go. And I am not here to say that you need to let go of a huge business that's going well when your kids are turning 12.
But what would you say, though? Okay, I know you're not here to say that.
Yeah.
But to other moms that are out there, and they're dealing with this mom guilt.
Yeah.
What do they do? What should they do? And so, like, with a general brush, right? Because everyone, like you just said, everyone has their own story.
Yeah.
But what's advice that you could give to them as a group?
Check in with your kids. I had the strangest thing when I checked in with mine. Will you make my lunch? That was her thing. And she was like in 8th grade. And every part of me wanted to say, make your own lunch. But I said, is that why? And she said, I'm so stressed out. She's a pretty academic kid, really intense. Yeah. And she goes, I just own the energy at night. I'm done studying. And I just thought that'd be a huge burden off of me. I'm like, all right. So I made her lunch all through 8th and all through high school. That was her thing. And my other kid she wanted to talk, which was good. So like that driving in the car thing, and your back, the back of your head's to your kids. So you feel like you can pretty much say anything to them. I love that in the car. Like, they can't see me. I'm going to say what they think.
That's so great.
And I would ask them while I was driving, hey, what would make your life easier? What could I do right now? And granted, I had gone back to teaching, so I was a little better frame of mind to do that. But like, if you're in the throes of your business, and hey, women out there, I know you're all staying up late retouching, and that's another thing, by the way. Give up retouching. Give that up, man. It's awesome. Amen. I had no idea my whole life.
How great it is to give
it's
that
so
up.
great. I mean, I do my finishing touches on my images, but it's hours and hours and hours. Take a couple of those hours and go out with your kids.
Yeah.
Give up the small things in your business. I'm talking to photographers, obviously, in particular. The small things that you're kind of being really anal about it. Can we use that word still? Is that a word people use?
It is.
And you could probably give up that, and you'll gain another 3 hours to be able to either go to the park with your kids or have some time. So that's one thing. Give up the small stuff so that you can be with your kids, and ask them what they need, because they'll be pretty honest. And they'll also sometimes tell you stuff that hurts. You know, you weren't there, or why did dad come to my meeting and you weren't because I had a shoot, you know.
Right.
Oh, it's just gut-wrenching stuff. And everybody's got their own schedule and everyone has their own stuff. But I think if you can kind of do simple things like just ask. We don't ask enough. I had to ask from my family for things too, you know.
Right.
When I come back from a shoot late at night, if you guys could not have 5,000 dishes in the sink, that'd be really great. Just stuff like that, you know.
It's a two-way street.
And not asking it in anger, you know, really being diplomatic about it, and asking before the you know what hits the fan is a really, really great way to go.
Asking well, I like that. And
asking your spouse, hey, how we doing here? Are you feeling overwhelmed because I'm gone all the time? Or is it, what's frustrating for you? And sometimes you have to be really brave to ask that question, because you know, it's like, what are you pretending not to know?
Oh, man.
Right? What are you pretending not to know? And that was my thing. What am I pretending not to know? I'm pretending to not know right now that my kids, they're pretty frustrated because I'm not around. And I'm an all-in person. Some people can really, really balance it beautifully. And I'm in awe of people like that. I'm not built like that. I'm all or nothing. Rachel Hollis, she has a great quote. It's like,
she's the wash your face girl.
Yeah. Her quote was, you know, the phrase, go big or go home. Right. I never go home.
Oh.
And I don't. I mean, I'm all in. And that's how I was made. And I don't fight it anymore. But you can't just say, this is how I am. This is how things. You have to compensate for it by saying, all right, how am I doing?
Right.
How we doing? Date night is really important. Check in with your spouse.
Right.
Oh, my gosh.
I agree.
And ask your kids while you're driving them somewhere, what do you guys need? You know, I'm busy, but I can, what do you need right now?
Yeah.
And I wish I had done that earlier, you know, woulda, coulda, shoulda, as I'm looking back, as my kids are going to college. They turned out okay. They're good girls, and I'm really proud of what they're going to do with their lives. So I don't have that mom guilt anymore.
Good.
But I also definitely made a very specific decision to let something go that really could have been big. And I sometimes wonder, you know, do I miss the dog slobber and dog hair all over my studio? I don't know. But it was really a fun time, and it all was what it was supposed to be. And I think that I work with tweens now because I went back to teaching. It all comes full circle. Every single thing that I've done has led me to where I am now. Right. I don't see a Blair Switch project in the future. I think this might be my last hurrah, and I'm pretty excited about it.
Good for you.
Because it's valuable work. Yeah. And it makes girls be able to see themselves in a different light. And we need more of that right now. We really do.
More than ever, I think.
Yeah.
It feels like it anyway. I agree.
Yeah, we're in a dangerous time. It's a dangerous time. I would not want to be growing up right now. And
I can't imagine it. We say it all the time. I know I say it all the time. I can't imagine. And it's terrifying to me on one hand, in that my kids are right there.
I know, you're watching it.
I can't imagine being a 10-year-old or an 11-year-old or a 12-year-old right now. I cannot.
The whole world's in their back pocket.
It's right there.
I know. It's a really frightening thing. But the checking in, it's key. Yeah. And it doesn't take a lot of time. It can be such a simple statement. And you're going to get the, I don't know, I'm fine. But if you ask a specific question, like tomorrow, you know, you have a big day, you got tests and practice, and all these things. Give me one thing that will make your life easier. What can I do for you? Yeah. It's a powerful question. But boy, don't you want to be asked that question?
Yeah.
I do.
I'd like to be asked that question right now.
Ask it. What can I do for you, Dad? I can help you out.
You're already doing it.
All right. Okay.
This was great. You opening up was exactly what I needed really for myself.
I'm glad to hear that. Thank you.
It's helpful even to hear as a dad, even, right? Because I know we talked about mom guilt, but dad guilt is a thing.
And we can't, we can't brush over that because it's absolutely true. Yeah. I agree.
And just, I think checking in piece, I really want to be more intentional with that. And I'm kind of scared to what I'm going to hear, but I'm excited as to what I'm going to hear too. Because I think both of my kids will tell me.
They'll give you the tools by just giving you the information.
Yeah. I really appreciate that. So thank you.
Oh, thank you.
Where can people go to see?
So my new, it's Lara Blair Photography. I changed my name because I'm not dogs anymore. So,
Lara.
Yes, like Lara Bar without the dots.
Right.
Like Lara Croft without the body. Oh my! I am not a video game.
That's all fake anyway.
It's all fake. Who's Angelina Jolie anyway?
Oh, well, I guess there's her.
That's actually pretty real. Well, kind of. Sorry, Angie. Okay. LaraBlairPhotography.com. And then on IG, I'm the same. Instagram is Lara Blair Photography, and same with Facebook.
Good.
And I am constantly putting stuff. We're really good. I have an amazing assistant who's young, and she's social media savvy, and boy, she's a rock star. She does stories during my
Everybody wants
sessions.
one of those people.
Oh, man. Yeah. She's doing all that stuff that I don't have time for, my enamored videos. And we're really stepping up our game. I'm probably going to need to hire somebody else pretty soon. And it feels really good.
It's exciting.
It's really exciting to get a second chance at this business in a frame of mind where I'm ready.
Yeah.
That's the key. I'm feeling really ready and excited to talk to other photographers too, because it can be done, right? We can do this thing.
Right.
We can do this thing.
Right.
Yeah. We can do hard things. Sometimes.
Thanks again.
Yeah, absolutely. It was such a pleasure to see you guys. You know what a big part of my journey you both have been in your business, and I'm grateful for the message that you've sent. And I remember sitting in that room with you guys before you had kids, you know, and what all of this meant to you and what you've given to this industry. It's been pretty, you've given a lot of really important things, so don't downplay that. Well, and you're a great team. You're a great team.
It's been a pleasure and an honor for me. I can tell you that.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me.
Yep. We'll see you next time.
Okay.